Hello, JavaScripters. Bruce here with some sample code where we're going to start talking about JavaScript classes, okay? And this code will be available in Slack and in Canvas for you, okay? So let's talk about apples for a second, right? There are lots of different types of apples, right? There's the Macintosh apple. There's the red delicious apple, right? And then there are some of those green apples. I don't know what they are, but Gail, what are the green apples?
Granny Smith?
Granny Smith. Thank you, Gail. And imagine you needed a way in code, right, to magically create apples. Okay. Now, essentially, you'd want like this maybe template to be able to kind of like a cookie cutter, right, to create, right, cookies in my cookie cutter example, right, that all are the same shape, right, and maybe those cookies, while they're the same shape, may have different properties. Maybe some have chocolate chips, maybe some have pecans or whatever. Okay, so getting back to our apple example here. Imagine in JavaScript you needed a way to create a template for creating apples. Okay, so let me step you through the code, and I think you'll understand it a little better. And again, we're talking about classes, which which are templates. Okay, so let's go through this. Okay, so here I have a function, right? A regular JavaScript function called apple, which takes a parameter called type. Okay, and in this particular function, don't get too concerned about the stuff on the left here. We're going to have a type, a default color, which happens to be red, and then we're going to create some method that we're going to be able to call about an apple that tells us information about the apple. Okay? So just going down a little further, here we have another function called getAppleInfo, which is going to tell us information about this particular apple. And let's dive right into the creation of this particular apple object here. Okay, ready? On line 21, I have var apple equals new. This is a JavaScript keyword. And then I'm calling the apple function, and I'm passing in Macintosh. Okay? I'm passing in Macintosh. So what happens is this function gets called, Macintosh gets sent in as the type, and then type, okay, gets set to Macintosh. And the way we do this nomenclature is this dot type. Okay, this dot and then the property, which happens to be named type, and then this and color. And the default color is red when we create a brand new apple. And when we create an apple, we assign this method here, this get apple info, to this dot get info. Okay, so in the last video, we talked about objects, right? And the object in this case is the thing, okay, in JavaScript that owns this particular apple. Okay, so when we create this apple here on line 21, this variable apple, right, is being assigned, right, this thing here, this object. Okay, it's using this class as a template to create an apple object. Okay, let's go with that for now. Then once you do that, okay, you can then use the apple object and then dot color, because again, it's an object and property color, and set its value to reddish, okay, instead of red. So we're going to override that value. Okay, and then we're actually able to call apple.getInfo here, apple.getInfo, which is going to call the getInfo method for the apple. Okay, so let me save this. Let me open it up in the browser, and we'll wait, and we'll wait. And there we have it. Says reddish Macintosh apple. Okay, so that's what got called here, right? This get info. Okay, now what happens if you remove these parentheses here? Let's run the page again. It says function get apple info. Okay, so in this instance, you need to have the parentheses here. Okay. Now just hold on to that because we're going to get more into this later, okay? So there you have it. So we created a class, right, out of a function, and we called it apple, and then we gave it some things that happen during construction of this apple when we instantiate a new apple, okay? And let's go down here on line 25, okay, and create a second apple, okay? And actually, let's just comment these out. This particular apple, apple 2, is the object, is going to be a red delicious apple, and we're going to set the color to dark red. Okay, so let's run that. And our method is returning to us dark red delicious apple. Okay. So dark red is the color, and then red delicious, and that is calling this external method. Okay, external method. Okay, we're going to learn later how to put these methods inside of this function here, this class that we're creating. Okay, so and it's returning, by the way, this dot color plus this dot type apple. Okay. So yeah, we're able to create different objects using our class. And let's do one more here. Let's comment out this. Okay. And now we're creating apple 3, which happens to be a Brucey apple, which is a black apple. Okay. And let's go here. I don't know where that example came from, but I think it's from a couple years ago when I first started teaching this. Brucey black Brucey apple. Don't eat that apple, by the way. That's a bad apple. Okay. So again, if I had left these all uncommented here, we'd have 3 apples, right, all made from the same class here. Okay. And for those of you in my PHP class, you learned how to do this in PHP. Okay. So let's stop right there. I'll let you go through this particular example here. And again, we're using an external method here. On object construction, we are assigning these values to the owner, which happens to be, in this case, Apple and Apple 2 and Apple 3. Okay, and each one of those objects, right, knows about its type, its color, okay, etc. Okay, so typically, right, objects have properties, right, and these are the properties: the type of apple and the color, and they have what are called methods. Okay, and this particular one has one method called get apple info. Okay, now one thing that I forgot to point out is when we when we assign this, okay, this function here, we do not put the parentheses. Okay, we do not have parentheses here, but we're assigning it to this dot get info. Okay, and over here, when we take the object apple and then we call the method, we do put the parentheses. Okay, if we put them here, it would execute right away. Okay, so new topic. We'll start to peel it back a little bit more, no pun intended. Okay, and ask questions.